Welcome to the Scandinavian Ham Radio Show. With only Scandinavian-speaking people here, we considered doing it in Norwegian and Swedish, but we figured we'd be nice to our audience instead. We got Rasmus down here. He's a member of our Discord, and you're relatively new ham, aren't you, Rasmus?
Well, relatively inexperienced, at least. So I've been active maybe for 1.5 years or something. But I was actually licensed back in 2016, but hadn't bought any proper radio and didn't have any place for an antenna. So it took a while until I actually started.
Yeah, but you are creative and you build stuff, and that's what we're going to talk about a little bit later on today after we've done the ham radio moment of the week. And how about you start, Rasmus? What's your ham radio moment of the week?
Well, I was fiddling around with this. Let's see if I can show it here. My QRP Labs 50 watt power amplifier. And this one is actually a monoband amplifier. Let me put it like this instead. No, this way. Okay. So everything in this is actually multiband, but there is a low pass filter that's only for 20 meters. And I wanted to use it for 40 meters. So a while ago, I built this extra filter, and my ham radio moment of the week is basically I tried this filter so that it now also works on 40 meters, and it works. So now I can join the big boys and send with 25 watts instead of 5 watts on 40 meters.
Wow. And that's actually quite a difference on 40 meters. 5 watts on 40 meters is usually a little bit too little.
Yeah, actually. And the noise floor is really terrible here, especially on 40 meters. Other bands are pretty okay, I think. And but the actual ham radio moment, I think, is when I just afterwards tried some other bands, tried 80 meters, and I saw someone calling Tobias's call sign. So it just happens that Tobias was on the air at the same time when I was just happened to be in 8 meters. So we didn't make any contact, but it was interesting to see a call sign I recognized on the air.
Yeah, that is always a good thing. Kjetil, you've been at the cabin this weekend.
Yes, and for me, this is really nice because, well, I don't have a shack at home. I don't have anywhere to place an antenna, but at the cabin I have. And so I played around a lot yesterday. Firstly, I have an end-fed antenna up there, which is like always ready to pull up in the trees when I need it. So I played around with digimodes. I got my first SSTV QSO in half a decade or so. I got Vara chat up and running. Managed to get a complete QSO with that, which is amazing. And probably because I've been trying this with 10 watts before. Now I'm using the FT891, so I was running 40 watts. And so that helped well. And also just random radio stuff yesterday, just sitting indoors in the heat with a chair and a table. That is kind of a luxury when you use it. So that was nice.
That's nice.
With
that view you have over the lake and everything.
That's nice. That is it's a beautiful place to sit, but it's chilly this morning, minus 22 Celsius. So I'm really glad that I rigged down all of the antenna stuff yesterday, because trying to unscrew a PL259 in minus 22, that's not comfortable. Would have been there until spring, I think.
But still, though, there's another factor with the cold, and that's that all the wires get really stiff and hard to handle. So it was probably smart to take everything down yesterday.
Yeah. So, but that was nice. And well, I've been doing a lot of SOTA, same hill, after work every day when I've had the chance, and just to get into shape. And it's really easy to measure like how much better your shape gets, because you get further up the hill every time you go before you start need a break or something. So So that is nice. It's a simple hill, but still, it's feels really nice.
That is nice. And we're at a time of year now where it's actually some daylight after work, depending on what time you get off, though. So,
Yeah. So that is lovely. So yeah, I think
guys,
that's it.
I wish I had a summit in driving distance from here, because the closest one of the absolute closest one is at least an hour's drive. That sounds fantastic to be able to just leave work, go to a summit, and as you do, eat your dinner there, or just activate the summit and go home and have dinner at home. That sounds like a very, very nice thing to be able to do.
Yeah, to be fair, I actually drive by 2 summits to get to this one. Because this one is so much easier to get to. So it's a 15-minute drive. So it's we do have some hills here, but the other ones are like 45 minutes to an hour's walk, and this one is 10 minutes. So it's not much.
You have some really nice summits down there. I'm planning now the second half of March. I'm planning a trip down to your part of the country, by the way, to get the rest of the winter bonus points before the end of winter bonus season, and hopefully on some summits with not too much snow on them.
And how far away from Mountain Goat are you?
I think I did 2 activations this weekend, so I'm at 940 now.
Ooh, you're getting close then.
Yeah. But I'm probably not gonna make it before end of winter bonus season. So I'm banking on my trip to France later this year. Was that April or something? They have some really, really nice summits down there, and some really nice 10-pointers. So that's gonna do it.
Nice.
So
maybe we can do some joint activate. Go ahead, Rasmus.
Question from the non-Norwegian here. Don't you have like all the summits in Norway? The summits everywhere?
That depends on where you are. My closest SOTA summit is actually in Sweden.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
That's but for a huge part of the country, there are many summits. But where I live on the coast, I have to drive inland for a bit before
right.
I get to someone. There's this requirement that a summit needs to have. It's 150 meters of prominence, isn't that correct? Yeah. And prominence is.
I think that's why we only have 1 or 2 summits in my part of Sweden at all.
I activated this southernmost summit in Sweden on the way back from Bornholm last year. That was a pretty nice walk up, and I was there early in the morning, I think 7 in the morning or something. Fantastic view from up there, and I worked all of Europe on, I think, pretty much every band that the AH705 could tune. So that was a Digimode activation. But there's some nice summits, even though you don't have many down in that part of Sweden.
Yeah.
And speaking about Bornholm, we're going to have a show about that trip next week, but I'm just going to mention it. The TEHRS 2025 POTA campout is scheduled for the first weekend in August, and we got really nice deals on boarding there. It's at Bornholm. It's an island between Sweden and Poland in the Baltic Sea. And if you want to get more info, check out hamshow.eu/meetup. And I think there's a link on the main page as well, isn't there, Bob?
I think I put one there, yes, after the QSDLA managed to, let's say, give the wrong link.
But I managed to correct that before the broadcast today. So it's only the print version. The broadcast version had the correct URL.
My guess is that lots more people click on the link in the email than on the broadcast version. So.
Yep. But hamshow.eu/meetup, and you can get all the details there. And it's depending on where you're coming from, it's not that hard to get there. You can even fly in there if your budget's high enough.
Yeah, and it's a really nice place. Really looking forward. I think I did about half the parks down there last time I was there, so I left some for. There's probably some first all-time new ones still left down there, so that we can do this summer if no one beats us to it. And there's even a summit.
There's even a summit. There are 19 POTA parks in one summit, but we'll get back to that next week. We'll do the show about Bornholm and what the camp out is all about, and hope we get some people to sign up then. It's going to be 3 nights, 2 full days of ham radio talk and activations, and probably some beer and good food as well, since we're in Denmark.
I would think so. And we can just make the point that you don't have to. You can come join us. There's no need to take part in any of the arranged things like the accommodations or the dinners or anything. If you just want to come and join us down there, then
yep,
you're more than welcome. So
and the accommodation is basically a service. I've managed, due to being a travel agent, to actually get a really good rate midsummer high season, and it's about 120 euros for 3 nights, including breakfast.
Yeah, that's cheap.
That is cheap. Usually you don't get 1 night for that price, but it is in a shared room. It's in a 6-person room. So
yep.
You guys know that, but there are other options as well. So we'll figure something out if you have any questions. All the information is over there. We'll talk next week more and hopefully have some more people sign up.
Yep.
But your ham radio moment of the week, Bob, since we're already derailed.
You sound surprised.
Yeah.
Let's see if I can share something here. All right. Allow. Will this work? It will. Yep. So my back is finally back in shape, as they say. So I've actually been to the gym every day this week, and I went on a summit yesterday, and I went on a summit today. So this is one of them. That's from yesterday. That's not much in the way of a view, so that photo is mostly just to prove I was on a summit. But today I went to this summit, which is Lima Alpha Bravo Uniform 062 or 69, no, 96 or 92. Jungsknuten, which is at the 900 and some meters. Very, very nice summit. And as you can see, there was a really nice blue sky, minus, I think, 10 degrees when I got out of the car, but fantastic dry cold. So it wasn't much of a problem. So I really enjoyed the walk up there. And this is from the summit. I'm focusing on the important bits in this picture, as you can see. But there are mountains and a nice view in the background there as well. That's the physical activity. And other than that, I've been building and creating a video. I think we should get Vince, the creator of this thing, on the show. Morten.
I have been thinking the exact same thing.
Yeah, this is the. Awesome. This is the. Let's see. I can do this picture first. This is the KV4P, which is basically a small board with an ESP32 and an SA5RJS radio module that you connect to an Android phone, and it turns it into a 1 watt VHF handy talkie, which is just extremely, extremely cool because all the functionality of the handy talkie is in the phone. So anything you want to add, you can just add that into the app, and everything here is open source, including hardware, everything. This board that I got from Mark Smith. He's a friend of our show. He sells these boards. All I had to do was solder that RF module on there. And if this tickles your interest, then there's a video that you can watch from that.
And it's got to be said though that Vince KV4P, he's a brand new ham, but he's a user interface designer. So he's made the user interface the way he thinks it's supposed to be without looking at a Yaesu radio first and thinking that's how it's supposed to be.
This must be a first in ham radio, right?
I think he's going to be banned. They're going to revoke his license for doing that.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I downloaded that app, plugged in the USB cable to the thing, and entered a repeater. I didn't read a manual. I didn't swear. I didn't basically do any other things that you normally do with any sort of radio, and it just worked. So
that is a good thing.
Yeah, very, very good start. And it's got APRS on it. Wasn't completely successful with my trials on that, but I'll figure that out. I'll do some more videos also on that thing because I think it's bloody cool. If I do manage to make my way up to the ham meeting next weekend, I'll bring it. So if you're coming up there, you can you get a chance to look at it. If I manage to come up there, I have my son, so I'm still not sure.
And speaking about another tangent, since we're speaking about the Norwegian ham eating, we're having a presentation about the European Ham Radio Show, titled "The European Ham Radio Show," or YouTube and Internet as the Modern Elmer, at noon, I think, on Saturday. So if you want to see me, Kjetil, and Jürgen talk about that, and we're going to do it in English as well. And we're not going to stream it, but we might record it if we feel like it and have time to set up anything to record it with. If we record it, there'll be a video. If not, you can look at the slides.
Yeah, I really want to see that. So I really want to get up there to not miss that.
You can get the presentation if you'd like.
I'd rather see it in person.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to it. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's that is very nice, and I think it's a big deal to be invited to talk up there as well. I think that's a nice recognition of
it is. It's the biggest. Something. It's the biggest ham fest in Norway. So it really proves that we're getting noticed as a show.
Yeah. But back, let's rewind a tangent or two and talk about your ham radio moment.
I got a couple of ham radio moments of the week. First of all, I got a package in the mail on Wednesday, I think, which was actually a little bit too late because I got the Alens HA1UV. Why can't they give it an easy name? But you've probably seen this radio on the internet because I was supposed to get this a lot earlier in order to actually get a review out at release, but somehow postal service from China went with a donkey and a cart. So, but it's a boring radio. It's built like a brick in a good way. It's an analog radio. It's clean. It delivers what it's promised. It's cheap. But I have no idea how to do a review on this because it's going to be like every other Handy Talker review, basically. So I'm trying to wrap my head around how to make this exciting. It's waterproof, though. It's IP67 rated, so I'm probably going to test that, see how long it survives in water. Not going to do any log splitter things or such with it at the moment.
At the moment.
That's his job.
Yeah,
Fires and log splitters are Kjetil's job. But that's not my ham radio moment of the week. I talked about modifying. Let's see if I can share my screen here and find the right window. I talked about modifying Collins' adjustable end-fed half-wave concept for 100 watts. And I did it the easy way. I took the radio stuff, portable end-fed half-wave, replaced the wire with a power pole. Hook that into there, and let's see if we can just flip the right way here. Why are my arrows gone? So it kind of looked like this. Played radio, I think this was on Thursday. Played radio for about an hour, I think. 53 minutes. And having 100 watts on that antenna, being able to switch bands back and forth, that was a blast.
That is bloody nice. Is that the sideband, all of it?
That is sideband, all of it.
Excellent.
Wow.
I had a pipeline on 10 on 15 into North America. That was unbelievable.
And Africa 12 as well?
I didn't do 12. I could have done 12 on it because you just reel it back and forth, and there are markings for every band. The only difference, and let's see if I can find the point arrow things here, is that the transformer here is a 49-1, whereas Collins' transformer is a 56-1. So the markings on the wire aren't exactly spot on. So you got to take a little bit back and forth and tune it. But it's such an easy antenna to tune and swap bands on with the two fly reels. I love it. It's by far my favorite antenna now.
So I have a question for you. When you have these fiberglass poles, I've heard that people ask you if you're catching any fish on top of that summit. What do they say now with this reel?
People have not asked me in Norway with this, but me and Colin did an activation in Edinburgh with this, and actually there was a guy coming up to us and asked if we weren't a little bit too far away from the water to catch any fish.
I get that comment almost every activation I do on the summit.
I mean, people tend to stare. I had a moment today when filming my video today. When I shot my outro, there was a woman on the backside of the camera staring at me while I recorded the outro. So I was kind of scared when I got back home if that was good or not. But it worked out fine. I had to boost the audio a little bit because I wasn't comfortable speaking at a normal level with her staring at me.
See, this is the problem with social competence. You care about these things. That's it's not an issue for me.
Yeah, but I had this guy, I think I told before, a few weeks back, a guy that just stopped and took a photo of me and walked off. Like, I asked him, like, if he was wondering what I was doing, because, like, I could have said many things to the guy, because, like, that I don't find polite.
I had a woman filming me last Sunday, I think, while rigging an antenna.
Yeah.
And I've been monitoring the local Facebook groups in case I should show up there.
I should take that up as a hobby. That sounds like excellent fun, just going around snapping pictures of people. So,
yeah.
That reminds me of an XKCD. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's a comic for nerds. And there's one where he one of the people in there, he says that his hobby is to go around pointing at real world objects and claiming they're photoshopped. So
oh yeah.
So, but seriously though, that antenna of Collins is amazing, and the video I made on it shows that it is amazing, because I've never had a video that's taken off that fast on that video. I got 10,500 views in a week.
Yep,
I've never had that that happen. But Rasmus, you're building stuff. You're building amplifiers. You're building radios. Let's try to get back on track here a little bit. What made you start with all this building and do it yourself in ham radio? Why didn't you just go out and buy a Yaesu like the rest of us and get frustrated by the user interface?
Almost going to ask you, am I doing this wrong? Should I just get the G90? Because, it seems in hindsight that actually sounds easier. But I've always been interested in electronics since I was a kid. I don't remember when I got my first soldering iron. Maybe I was like 9 or 10 or something. So I've been tinkering with electronics for a long time, just because it's fun. But for a long time, I haven't had really any practical projects or anything useful to use with my electronic skills. And then I read a book where there was a character who was a radio amateur in the ISS, the space station, and who just casually talked to her dad using a Morse code on a transceiver built from junk box parts. And I thought, wow, this sounds very cool. Okay, it's time for me to get into this amateur radio stuff. So that's how it started for me.
Yeah.
So then, okay, I looked at schematics, like how does a radio transmitter work, and found Alan Walke's YouTube channel. Spent a long time there, just trying to learn stuff. And I didn't really know anyone who was into amateur radio. I looked at some radios online, and they were all very expensive. And then, to be honest, I didn't know if I would like this hobby, or is it like just something I'm interested in 3 months and then maybe not later. So I thought, okay, I order something cheap and to get started, and we'll see how that turns out. So my first radio is probably my $20 Baofeng, but that kind of doesn't count, right? But other than that,
just a side note: do you only have one Baofeng?
Actually,
then you're doing it wrong.
Then you're doing it right, I'd say.
Yeah. Okay. So my first kit radio is this, my Bitex 40 in this nice blue case. And this is I think it's a $60 kit, including shipping from India. So it's pretty amazing price point, right? For a 7 watts SSB transceiver. And let's see if I can share maybe a picture of how it looked at the beginning. That should be at the start of this album, actually. Let's see. Yeah. I started to mount it because you get a circuit board, you don't get any case for it. So I mounted it on a wooden board and had these metal angle brackets which were really sharp. And I later wired it up. And yeah, I actually had my first QSO on this with my neighbor who is like 50 meters from me. So I guess I don't even know if that's qualifies as radio transmission because I'm pretty much in the near field of his antenna when we were speaking. But yeah, so that confirmed that this radio actually worked. I tried to get QSOs calling CQ, but so far I kind of never have been heard on this one. But 40 meters here is pretty noisy, and this pushed out QRP levels. So in the beginning, I heard that, okay, QRP is all you need. You don't need that much power anyway. I think that applies for Morse code and not single sideband, right?
I'm gonna. You don't really need more than QRP if you have the experience. But as a new ham, not knowing all the tricks, QRP can be hard.
There's you need some, maybe not all of experience, a good antenna, low noise floor, nice takeoff. There's a combination of these that makes it work.
Good coax.
None of these.
Good coax. Okay, so I pretty much nailed it in the opposite order. But anyway, it's otherwise a nice working radio. I had to decide on what kind of connectors I should use. So there was all these different weird connectors used in amateur radio, and I couldn't figure out which one I wanted. So I just took 3.5 millimeter headphones, mic, external, push the talk button, and Morse code key. That's the simplest thing I can come up with. And I thought, gosh, I wish there was like some kind of standard for this, so that that would make sense. And I was listening to this podcast called Embedded.fm, and they had this guest on called Mark Smith. And the podcast went down to the garage, drilled the holes, and then went in and continued listening. And then he explained what OHIS is, which is standard for exactly this. So yeah, it's like 4 hours too late, but someday I will modify it so that it has a proper OHIS port.
I was going to say OHIS is probably the closest thing you get to a standard for this. Still, there are a lot of choices to make. I don't think the 3.5 millimeter mini jack connector is a stupid choice, though. It's readily available. It's not easy to solder, but besides that, it's a good connector.
Yeah, but the I don't know what you call the female part. It's a lot easier to solder than the male part.
Yeah, the male part. I usually get one that has wires attached to it, and don't bother soldering the connector because I don't have the patience for that.
That's a good plan.
Yeah, and strain relief, I still haven't solved the strain relief problem. It's got so easy for the solder joints to go bad after a while, and the volume knob has had a glitchy connection, and it's not very good actually. And I also decided on the backside here, I standardized on BNCs because for some reason I like BNCs. I'm a BNC guy, I guess. And PowerPole, which was new for me. So I bit the bullet and bought a nice set of crimp pliers to make my own PowerPole cables. And that turned out really nice.
PowerPoles is, the greatest invention since sliced bread. Not because it's the best connector, but because it's cheap and relatively easy to work with.
Yeah, and I agree with the BNC as well. That's the only sensible connection to use for radios. I'm so fed up with having to screw and unscrew everything when you change things around. So
and that is because you work mostly portable, Bob.
That is because also I have a lot more radios than I have antennas, even when I'm at home. So
Yeah, I thought I was going to show the screen here, but no. This is a really old webcam, and it's not any good. So, yeah, let's just turn that off.
Had a nice
okay,
color
so-
though, that screen. It's there's an ambience when you get some green screen pointing towards you. So yeah.
In this case is really bright blue. So I try to get my radio gear as bright color as possible to not forget and leave behind any gear when I go portable. Although I haven't done that much portable yet, but yeah. So
I have a couple of radios that I've lost during POTAs because I haven't been able to find them again. And that with radios, I mean cheap HTs, not HF radios, because I usually know where those are. But...
yeah. So I guess my next project was I heard that you need to put up some kind of antenna. I lived in an apartment back then, so I needed some kind of portable and some random length wire maybe. My first antenna was actually a dipole just made of like household electricity wire, like 1.5 millimeter thick, like really heavy. But I guess that worked. I haven't used it that much though. But I heard that you need a match unit, so I built this Z match, which I'm really happy with. It looks great and it works great. It has these variable capacitors have some places where they're a bit glitchy, but other than that, it really works, and it does a little bit of everything. You can tune most of things with it, I think, because it has high impedance, low impedance settings, balanced and unbalanced, and 3 fixed capacitor settings, and these 2 knobs which you usually have on your Z match. A tune LED, yeah. So it's pretty similar to that AliExpress kit that some of you have tried, I think.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Did you just build that from schematic, or is that a kit?
No, I built. Well, I took the schematic from the ZM2 kit basically, and just built it myself.
That is nice work.
I mean,
nice work.
You just went straight into the deep end of ham radio then.
Yeah, pretty much, I guess.
Have you built a power amplifier?
Yeah, that's the next thing, I guess. Well, I also have the QMX, which is in the radio I actually use the most. This probably doesn't need much introduction at this point, but I mean, this was an intense build experience. I took it slow, and but this is extremely compact. There's like no cubic millimeters left in this case. But it worked on the first try, and I'm really happy with it. And this is what finally got me on the air. This I've been using for 1.5 years, and I'm mostly done FT8 and FT4 with it, but that got me to learn about the conditions and the bands.
I just got to say something here, because a couple of weeks ago I had a talk at another ham club, and there's always this guy there that talks about how FT8 and everything is ruining ham radio. And he talked about how FT8 was ruining ham radio, and what you were saying here was exactly my point, that helps you learn about propagation, it helps you learn about how the bands work, where you can reach on the different bands. I think FT8 and FT4 are great learning tools, and besides that, it's sometimes a lot of fun.
Yeah, I agree. If we could just quickly circle back to the QMX, did you manage on the first attempt to actually get the full 5 watts on all the bands on that one, or did you spend a lot of time trying to tweak the toroids?
I spent exactly 0 time tweaking the toroids, and I think I get 5 watts on 20 meters. Maybe I get about 4 to 5 watts on all of the bands, but this is the low bands version, so I think that might be easier, right?
Anyway, I think I've heard plenty of other people having issues with that, and I bought the Plus. I have that kit had for a long time now, and dreading starting that thing because of there's so much work. First winding all the toroids, and then of course afterwards to tune them to get that thing working perfectly. But it looks like such a fun radio, and especially the Plus one. It's got more bands, and it's a much bigger box, so that's not as fiddly to place all the things in there. So looking forward to it, but also dreading it at the same time. But
I had the sorry, Bob. Go ahead.
No.
I had the QDX. I've since sold it, but I bought that figuring this will be a great introduction to kit building for me. Opened the kit up, looked at all the parts, figured this is way ahead of my skill level. So I called another ham, asked if he could come and help me. We started out, went at it for about 20 minutes. Then he took the radio with him and delivered it back to me 2 days later. But I had to do a lot of tweaking on the toroids as well to get the full power output there. But the QRP Labs make such great radios.
Yeah, it's amazing what Hans is able to get these radios to do. I haven't checked in a few weeks now, but he was hard at work getting SSB to work on the QMXs as well. Does anyone know what's the status on that?
I don't think it's done yet. I mean, he still has his demo, his prototype, but he hasn't announced anything recently.
All right. Yeah. Really looking forward to seeing what he can manage. I think there was a video where he played some Churchill speech, and that it's just amazing what he can do. You give him 2 transistors and a toroid, and amazing things happen. Very, very cool. We should get him on as well, Morten.
We should. I feel that he's a bit too ham famous for the level we are, though. So if you want to come,
he's busy. I think even Ham Radio Workbench have a hard time getting him on there. So I think it's a rather bit busy. But, speaking of 2 transistors and some toroids, this is his amplifier that goes with the QMX. So this is 50 watts for CW and maybe 20-25 watts for the full duty cycle modes like FT8 and FT4. So this was my upgrade for 20 meters, and I had very much fun with this one. Oops.
This is the problem with our channel. There's so much talk. You actually need some
breathing room.
Yeah, and also
some of this helps.
Yeah, my whole family has a cold basically, and it's been a rough week.
I know exactly where you're coming from. We've had chicken pox going around the family for 6 weeks now.
Right, you win.
So, but still having the whole family being out, and it's rough. But you have kids, and I guess it's part of the game, and it's going to be for a lot more years.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I'm certainly in the hands-on parenting phase of life, so portable operation is not something I do often. Every once in a while, perhaps. But so my operating times is basically 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. usually. And so right now I'm a little bit sad that 20 meters is basically dead when I start operating. So that's why I built this 40 meter filter, which I mentioned before, for this amplifier. So now it does both 20 and 40 meters.
Nice.
So that's a win.
That is probably not a huge surprise to anyone, but I actually have that kit as well, in kit form still. And I have some questions on that, because Hans, he says that it's not a linear amplifier, and I'm not even sure I know what that means. And he talks about IMD. I took some notes. That's why I'm looking to the side.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's get.
If you understand these things, could you explain them?
Sure. Okay, so let's think about audio. If you amplify an audio signal, if you amplify too much, you will get clipping, and that's bad, right? Because it sounds like crap. And once you have a clip signal, it's really hard to restore the original signal again.
Well, you can't pretty much, because
exactly.
there's information lost.
Exactly. But if you feed it with just a pure sine wave, that sine wave gets squished at the top and the bottom. But all that does is actually to introduce overtones which add that extra shape. So the fundamental tone is still there, but you get extra overtones. And if you then filter those out, you get back the original sine wave. So that's pretty much magic, right? Well, there's not really magic here, but this is built on the assumption that you only feed in one sine wave at a time. As soon as you feed in two sine waves, those get mixed together and you get all kind of distortion. But if you only send in one sine wave, there's no distortion, and you can actually remove all the overtones with just a low-pass filter, and you're good to go.
But does that mean if it doesn't have this linearity property that we speak about, if it doesn't have that property, but you're very careful not to overdrive it, will it still work?
It might. Okay, there are other causes of non-linearity than overdriving, I think. So no.
All right.
That's the answer.
Yeah.
Because basically all transistors are non-linear in a sense, but the hotter you drive them, the more linear they go. And these are driven with a very low bias, so they don't turn on until they turn on fully. And so this one, the QMX and this amplifier only works because you only feed in one sine wave at a time. And there are all kinds of modes that support this. For example, CW and FT8 and FT4, all the modes that are either slow on-off keying or slow frequency shift keying. They work great because they only put out one carrier at a time. So then you can cheat and use a nonlinear amplifier like this, which is much more efficient. So one way this is more efficient is, well, if you think about overdriving it, if the transistor is fully opened, then it doesn't emit any heat. And if it's fully closed, then it also doesn't emit any heat. It's just when it's in between, then it's kind of breaking or trying to resist the current, and that's when heat gets into the transistor. So if you kind of overdrive it maximally, that actually makes the transistor more efficient. So that is kind of related to Class D amplifiers in audio, and I think this is called Class E, which is when you kind of fully drive it on or off and nothing in between. So then you get all these overtones, which you just filter out with a low-pass filter, and you're good to go.
Bloody nice. I think I haven't been around that long either. It's less than 3 years, and we learned about this in taking the course, and much better explanation. Very good.
You say you learned that. I memorized schematics for the test.
All right. No. There was talk about this, and I remember all the words, but I didn't develop an understanding of this. And luckily, it wasn't on a test, so it wasn't much of a problem. But it's one of the things that I like about this hobby is there's new things to learn and new things to understand. Yeah. And I enjoy anything I do. I enjoy that a lot more if I understand what's going on than if I'm just sort of an operator of equipment. That's just boring. Even cars, I really dislike cars if I can't understand the technology that they're based on. So
yeah. Does this mean that it's like more power efficient when you're out in the field, like you use?
Yeah. So it's more power efficient. It uses cheaper parts. So I think these transistors are like, okay, the cost is in like cents, not dollars. And proper RF MOSFETs are like $200 a piece or something like that. So you can get away with really cheap parts. And, Hans Summers is a genius when it comes to that. His kits contain like only the most common everyday parts, and he managed to squeeze out like all performance out of them. So, but, okay, so this trick only works if you're only putting out one tone. What if you want to do SSB? Well, then you can't do this trick, because then you get intermodulation. Because then you get this distortion because you put in two tones and then they get mixed together, and you can't recover like the original information from that. It destroys the signal. So then you actually need a linear amplifier, and linear amplifiers means heat.
Then I think one of the reasons I'm having a difficult time grasping this concept is I don't understand the name a linear or the label, a linear amplifier. What does that mean? What makes it linear or non-linear for that matter?
All right. So linear simply means that if you have a signal that consists of many frequencies, like voice or just two CW tones right next to each other or something like that, then the output is just a scaled version of the input. So you can think of the amplifier, how it works for each individual frequency, and there is no mixing between frequencies. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. That's I
the
just never
output
thought about that
is
as linearity, but yeah, it makes perfect sense.
the output is identical to the input, except it's louder.
Yeah, it's louder or maybe phase shifted. So it's actually a two-dimensional thing, but maybe mostly it's the amplitude we care about. And this is related to impedance, which is also two-dimensional in the same way. So yeah, and if it's not linear, then funky stuff happens and frequencies they affect each other. But if it's linear, you can really think about the system for one frequency, and then you know how it works for all frequencies. And so it makes everything much simpler.
Yep. That's again excellent explanation. I saw someone commenting that it was like an hi-fi amplifier, and that explanation wouldn't help me much because I don't know how they work either. But once again, Rasmus, excellent explanation. That's
so if you have so if you can treat you can have two signals and feed that into one amplifier, or you can take the two signals, feed those through two amplifiers, and then sum that, and that should be the same thing. That's linearity, basically. You can decompose the problem into being independent of all the frequencies. Yeah. Okay, so that was a bit math heavy, I guess.
No. I'm trying to get some more science into this show.
All right, okay.
Very nice, very nice.
Yeah, we can get more nerdy into impedance and complex impedance and decibels and whatever. Just tell me. But the next problem I had was, okay, I want to use my BTX40. Remember this guy, which only puts out 7 watts, and haven't had much luck with that. So what do I do? Well, I saw a bunch of people on YouTube build this 70-watt linear amplifier kit. I thought, I better get one of those. So that was my next step. It didn't come with a heatsink, so I took an old, this is an old PC cooler, like an Intel cooler. Yeah, it has blue LEDs. I think that makes it more cooler, right?
10 dB, right?
Yeah, and minus 10 centigrades as well, I think. Right. So, but this is scary because this puts out, well, enormous amounts of power, I think. Like, remember, I'm used to 5 watts, so 70 watts is really a lot here. And I actually tried it again yesterday. And you're supposed to feed it with like 1 watt, but I accidentally fed it with 5 watts. And I measured the output and saw, okay, 50 dBm, all right. Something smells a bit funny here. It smells warm. It smells like burnt plastic. And I thought, oh, they must be my new cables I made. It must be shorted. So I just turned it off. I thought, no, the cables are cool. What can it be? And then I remember, I forgot to turn down the power. So yeah, 50 dBm, that's 100 watts. So I actually ran it at 100 watts accidentally, and yeah, it survived. So yeah.
That's nice. I think that's in large part to the extremely oversized cooling solution you've chosen for it.
Yeah. All right. And I'm thinking about using this aluminium box later as a case for it. So then it
I don't
would
think
like
that fan's gonna. Oh, all right, something like that. Yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, this will look ridiculous, but if it screams DIY, then I'm okay with it. So
I actually have a radio that looks like that. It's a expert something. So I can't remember what it's called. It's an SDR radio, 100-watt radio, and it's got a fins, cooling fans and cooling fins on top. Would look pretty much like that. I think that would be
a circular as well, because this is round. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, and the blue LEDs, excellent. If you can get the blue LEDs to pulse with the modulation level, as well, that would be very cool.
Well, they're connected to the fan, and it's actually funny because when the amplifier is active, I can hear that the fan speed goes down a fair bit, so I know that there's some voltage drop there. And well, if I end up burning up all the transistors, I have some extra here, some spare ones.
But like the usual way of seeing that the amplifier is working is that lights are flickering, or the neighbor's lights are flickering.
Yeah. And did you know that most Christmas lights are pretty much resonant on 20 meters? So if you put out CW on 20 meters, you can do funny things with your neighbor's lights.
Oh, that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
What the finals in amplifier? What's the are MOSFETs or transistors?
MOSFETs. IRF 530.
530?
Yeah. So they're kind of bigger cousins to the 510s that's in this kit. And
But how much time did you spend on building that amplifier?
I spent, I don't know, some evenings.
Yep.
So maybe less than 20 hours so far. I don't remember. I spent more time thinking about it or noodling about it or obsessing about it, I guess, than actually building it.
That's what I do as well.
Yeah. But still, I haven't put it on the air. I actually just yesterday I put this low pass filter in line and saw that if you put in one single sine wave, the output is actually clean. So I could use this for FT8, for example. So maybe I should try that. And next step is try to see how linear it is, because I don't know that yet.
But that, as I understand it, that when you test for, I'm guessing you still
let the man cough first, Bob.
I just don't want dead air, and we can reduce the frequency, as they say. So, when you test for linearity, that's what they call a two-tone test, yeah.
Exactly.
And you just look out the other side and see if you get the same two tones at the same amplitude back.
Yeah. So then I need to have a way of generating two tones, which I don't really know how to do yet. So the QMX only puts out one tone, and I have the QRP Labs signal generator, which also only puts out one tone. So I guess it has two outputs, so maybe I could make it put out two outputs and then combine them somehow. Or I could use, this one connected to a PC or something to generate two tones. I don't really know yet how I should do it.
But I would guess a PC sound card, and you get that into the blue box. That should has the potential.
I should probably first check that it's currently not aligned very properly. So the crystal filter in it should, I mean, it's about 2.5 kilohertz wide, but it's not centered around like where your voice is supposed to be. It's like lower down in frequency. So it's kind of rolling off at 1.5 kilohertz, which is really low. And so I don't think it suppresses the carrier either properly. So I need to figure that out before I can use it to test this one. So yeah. But I'm in it for the long run, so I will get there soon.
I
wish I will have a SSB QSO as well.
Yeah, but it's fun to see that you're taking such a different approach than most hams do, though, because most hams buy equipment and then they get to this stuff later on in the hobby. But you just jump into the deep end and start building stuff and actually make it work. And I'm honestly impressed by what you're doing.
Yeah, absolutely. As it just the amount of understanding of the things that you do that you just get because you do it this way. It's a completely different ball game than just going out and buying a new Yaesu radio. That tells you basically nothing about how a radio works.
But speaking of buying, should I just buy a G90 at this point?
I think everyone should own a G90, but
at some point everyone should own a G90. What's the G9 is probably the most amount of bang you get for your buck. It's 20 watts, which puts you well above the QRP levels, which increases your chance of a good QSO. Then again, it depends. Are you in it to build stuff, or are you in it to make QSOs? Or both. I mean, it doesn't have to be exclusively one or the other. But the G90 is definitely a good radio to buy, and the fact that it's slightly above the 5 to 10 watts makes it a good beginner radio.
And it's a good thing to have if you just want to get experience being on the air. But then again, you could say you could also want to just get something with 100 watts, so you actually know that you're going to get the QSOs. So because for example, today 20 watts was barely enough to activate SOTA on the last one, but 100 would probably work better. So
I used 5 watts today, or more correctly, I think the 106 is about 8 watts, but I had a hard time. 20 was okay-ish, but more work than usual. The rest of the band's nothing. So getting a little bit above the 5 to 10 watt scale is probably a good thing.
But you have that.
I have to say I've been using the 705 now for a long time, probably a year, and with the band conditions we've had now, I haven't missed having more than 10 watts. That's plenty sufficient. But I do reap some of the other things that I talked about. I get up high. I have a well-functioning antenna and a low noise floor. So all these things combined, I don't think it's important that I have just 10 watts. I'm probably going to have to eat these words at the bottom of the solar cycle.
But it's not like you don't have another radio to bring when you're at the bottom of the solar cycle, Bob.
That is true as well. So and I'm getting another one as well because Yaesu has promised to make a portable one that looks just like the 705, but only with a Yaesu user interface. So
Nice.
but seriously, QRP is not necessarily a hassle, but it requires you to optimize every part of your kit in a completely different way than having 100 watts does.
But it is fun to see you build all of this stuff and like the advanced stuff. Like I've never been close to building any of that. But so that is really cool, and it's nice to see that it works and that some people enjoy that part of the hobby still as well. Because if I look back at the people that taught me ham radio, all of them they were building their own radios out of tin cans and stuff they found lying around after World War II or something. And most new hams just buy the stuff. So this is cool.
It is, and we need all of these aspects of the hobby, though. And it is. I just we had a repair fix session, repeater fix session at our club yesterday, and we talked about it that none of us actually fixing the repeater enjoy the same thing in the hobby, but we're still hams. And that's the beauty of it, though. There's so many things to do, and so many approaches. But it's still ham radio.
Yep, hobby of 1,000 hobbies.
Yep.
Yeah, I must say that without your Discord, I would probably haven't tried Parks on the Air, and so I mean, this is where I go to learn how to operate, how to do that kind of things that everyone else seems to already have done. So it's great to have a place where you can ask the stupid questions and
And that's why we have the Discord, though, so we can learn from each other. And it's, of course, let's not click at the same time, Bob. It's, of course, hamshow.eu/Discord.
And for anyone watching this that thinks that this project that Rasmus is doing is bloody impressive and interesting, join the Discord, because you post a lot of pictures and updates and things there as well. So yeah, join our Discord if you enjoy this sort of stuff.
Yep.
And I see that Vida has a comment, 705 and your DIY amp, and then you have fully shack in 2 boxes. I really want to comment on this. I know we're a little bit on an hour mark now, but I've been going that approach with a QRP radio and an amplifier. It's one more box, one more set of wires, one more point of failure to take into the field. But it depends on your approach. Some people like that. I like having a QRP kit and 100-watt kits. So there are a lot of factors in it.
Yeah, me too. A nice amplifier kit called something like the Hard Rock amp or something.
Oh, the Hard Rock amp is beautiful. I so regret selling that.
So is that a 100-watt or 50-watt amp? Or?
I had the 50-watt with the built-in tuner, and that was a fantastic amplifier. I used that with the Yaesu 817. It's a solid performer, but it's one more box to carry, and I figured this gives me some modularity, so I can use QRP when I want and 50 watts when I want. I ended up using 50 watts all the time, and having all of these cables and everything together.
Go ahead, continue.
Yeah, and then you have the Chinese amplifier, the MX5P or something. That's not a bad amplifier as well. You just shouldn't use it with a 705 because it puts the 13.8 volts into the PTT circuit, and the 705 does not like that.
That's very, very easy to fix.
There is, and there are a million YouTube videos on the mod for that amplifier. But just so you don't get a 705 that amplifier and plug it right in, because you'll fry your 705.
You'll fry a very, very small board on with the USB connector and the external PTT connector. It's a fairly easy fix, and it's not expensive, but no reason to do it, by the way. I also want to mention that there's something called a Neptune 100-watt amplifier that I used for my 705, which is also a very nice thing. Auto band switching, and so I bought that because I was looking at all the people with the 7300, and I was thinking, yeah, that looks nice. So if I just get an amplifier for my 705, then that's going to be the same thing. And I got the amplifier, and it was pretty much the same thing. And then I got the 7300. To top it off. So that's sort of a waste, but nice amplifier too.
There are so many different routes you can go here, but the thing about having an amplifier, and then suddenly you might need a tuner if you don't have the Hard Rock 50 with a built-in tuner. Then you have 3 boxes that needs power and interconnection, and that gets to be a chore in the field. Instead of just having one box, plug the antenna into it, and you're good to go. It's the difference between 3-minute rigging time and a 15 to 20-minute rig time in worst case,
or even a failed activation because
you forgot a cable. One of the cables broke. There are many routes to go. You just have to figure out what's the right one for you, basically.
Yep.
And then again, it's always a question of budget as well.
Yeah, that is true. And we can always bring this nicely back to the G90 then, because that has a great deal of the same things, of the things that you need in the same box. It's fairly rugged, and it's fairly inexpensive, and it's a nice all-round radio. It's not best at anything. Not even average at a lot of things probably, but it's a very good radio to do many things. So
is it all band from 160 to
6?
To 6?
It's got 6.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, it does not have 6.
It doesn't.
No, sorry. No, it's up to
60 to 10.
10 meters.
Yeah.
But you have to.
Yeah, I still don't have 10 meters, so I'm very envious of hearing you like speaking of 10 meters all the time. And
if there's a time to get on 10 meters, this is it. The next time will be in 11 years.
Yeah, I need to order my QMX Plus right now, I think.
Yeah, and you need to Mars mod it to go on like on the full 60 meters. But I'm not sure if you have 60 in Sweden.
Which 16? No,
60.
60. Yeah, we do. But different
limit of 10 watts, I think.
Though. Yeah, and it's power. Yeah,
I think it's limited to 10 watts. I seem to recall. I've been operating. We have a monthly net. We do 60 and 40, and I did that from Sweden. 60 and 80.
That's right.
Yeah. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we're at an hour and 5 minutes. This has been great, Rasmus, having you on and hearing about your projects, and not only seeing them in the Discord. That has been really nice. And you're so passionate about what you're doing, and it's so fun to hear, even though I don't understand half of it.
That's why you pay attention, and next time you understand a little bit more. That's
yeah,
exactly. That's the way I try to just submerge myself in the information. At some point through osmosis, I pick up some things here and there, and suddenly I know what I'm talking about.
Yep, that's the way to go. Yeah.
When I started listening to the Ham Radio Workbench, I didn't understand a thing. Now I understand about half of it, so I'm getting somewhere.
It's very nice. Yeah, I have to agree. Thank you so much for joining us, Rasmus. This has been excellent fun, and I'm really looking forward to following the progress on the Discord. And everyone listening, please join the Discord and join the discussions and seeing all the fun things that Rasmus and a lot of other people are up to on the. Very many cool things.
Yeah, thank you very much for inviting me. This has been very fun.
No worries. We need to do this again once you decide what kind of portable radio you're deciding on having.
Absolutely.
I guess just what's left now is to say 73 and probably be good humans, as Mark would say.
Yeah.
See you guys next week. We're going to talk about the POTA camp out, and then we have some other nice projects coming ahead the next couple of weeks. So if you're not subscribed, do that now. 73, guys.
73.
73.